Okay, here are the rankings going into week 5. I have to record this again because I forgot to turn my mic on, so there was no audio because I'm a fucking idiot. This one's going to be a lot quicker than the last one. There's not many new things to say about the teams. There's been a few movements. Pittsburgh dropped quite a bit. This is a good coach. The team is just so hard to use, like I said at the start of the season, and it's kind of like showing. It's been a rough season for Ninja, but I think he can easily patch it up and have a really good season in season 2. And the main reason why he dropped is also I think the teams below had like a really good week. In Carolina, even though they lost, I see potential in this team. Like this team could be legit. They're knocked out of playoffs, but season 2 or next season for this coach, I think can be really good. I just see signs of life in this team. Green Bay, it's crazy to think that Green Bay, like no one would have guessed, like at the start of last week, that Green Bay is going to be ahead of Buffalo in the standings. Well, they are. It's crazy, but they are. So he played well. If he can, the team's legit. Like he's just got to he's trying to learning the team still and learning how all draft works and everything. But once he puts it together, Green Bay it's a good team. Like also like, 5th, 6th in the rankings at the start of the season. It's a good team. If he puts it all together, he could make a playoff run. So Minnesota was moved up quite a bit as well. That was a really, really good week for Minnesota. Like he really showed how good this team actually is. Like this team's legit. It is good. He just has to prove that he can put it like a good performance together. Minnesota, back-to-back weeks. Like that's all we have to see, and this team can be legit. There's 2 tiers in my eyes. Rank 9 to 20, I think it's all in one tier. Like legitimately, I think the difference between 9 and 20 isn't that big. It's crazy to say that there are so many teams bunched together, but it's true. And then rank 8 to 1, there's not that much difference between them, but I think there's a monstrous gap between 8 and 9. I do. I think there's a big gap. I think Phillies is the one that I'm a little unsure about. Like this team started very strong and it was very scary at the start of the season. The differential is good, but I just have a weird feeling that like they could like I don't really know where they sit. I don't know if they might even be like a tier on their own. But we'll see. They play Jacksonville this week, and if they beat Jacksonville, I think that solidifies them as a good team. If they lose, though, then I don't. They're either in a tier in their own or like the top of tier 2, bottom of tier 1. I don't know where they fit exactly. So they're kind of like the wild card team, Philly. But I think the teams 8 to 1, they're the legit title contenders. They're really, really good. Miami proved that they can beat the good teams. New York fell quite a bit from 3 to 7. Their loss wasn't as bad, and their movement in the rankings isn't as bad as it seems. It's just the teams below played really well. So they just had to go down to 7. But like I said, 8 to 1, they're all in the same tier. You can put the order however you want. You can put New York. I'll probably put Seattle at 1. I think Seattle deserves to be 1. You can put whoever you want at 2. You can put Denver, Wild Chargers, Cleveland, Miami, New York. I think New York probably not at 2. They're up there, like they're way up there, and then Philly as well. Like these are your championship contenders. Houston stays at 2, even though they lost. He gave me like a very good game. I saw the prep. He literally had 6 pages of prep written down before the game. Like I've never seen anyone do that before. That's like fucking insane. It's his first draft league. I know he's in other ones, but I think he's like just gotten into draft league, and this is like basically his first. So he's legit. Like I was very impressed. He can easily win this championship easily. Cleveland is the one that I still a little bit unsure about. Like they're very, very good, but they have lost when they've gone up against the top teams. So that's something we have to kind of remember. I think this team's legit. Fruit Loops is legit. He won the championship, obviously. He can do it. I underestimated his team a little bit, but he did lose to 2 top teams, which is like something to note. Jacksonville in 11th. I think they might have moved down 1, or they stayed where they are. They had a good week. It was just they won. It was a good game. Thing I noticed that Swordfish, like he beat me. Like he's good. He's not bad or anything. He does make a few like very questionable plays. So I think if he he's good enough to beat anyone in any game, but then he has games where he just makes like weird plays. And I think the reason that he's in 11 and not in like the tier 1 teams, is that he has to show that he can put back-to-back solid games where just there's no like weird misplays. There were quite a few in his win this week. Like there were maybe like 3 to 4. I did record a video, but the audio wasn't working. But it kind of still worked out in his favor. But yeah, there's just a few. But like he beat me, like destroyed me. So like he can beat anyone at any time. Kansas City 15, such a good team. Like this team's so good. They're not making playoffs. They're 1-3, but their differential's so bad. Because their schedule's been brutal. And like I say it every week, the schedule's been insane, but they played Buffalo this week, which was 5, I think. They've fallen down to 13, so they can win this week. I think they will. Looking at how far Buffalo's fallen, I think Kansas City is like a legit team. They just won't make playoffs. So these are the rankings. Denver climbing up again, like 20 to 3 is insane. But his prep's so good. Coach of the year is going to be very interesting. I legit think there are so many contenders. Like there are so many contenders for coach of the season. I think the last week's really going to like tell a lot, but we'll see how it goes. Let's just have a quick look at the playoffs and the standings right now. Okay, so standings. The playoff race is going to be insane. So Chicago Bearticks and the Rampardos still have to play. If Bearticks win and go to 2-2, and then the Rampardos will fall to 2-2, there are so many teams at 2-2. Like, and we have Texans versus Sea Titans, which is going to be an insane game. One of them, whoever loses, basically out of playoffs, like, which is crazy. Wild Chargers versus, I believe it's the Pickers, which is insane because the Pickers need maybe 1 to 2 losses. Either Sea Titans or Hexans are going to lose. That's 1 guaranteed. And then they need Wild Chargers to lose, and they play Wild Chargers, so they control their own destiny, which is insane. Like no one would have thought that the Pickers can make a late push into playoffs after being like 0-3. The differential wasn't great, but then here they fucking are. Like right here, if they beat the Wild Chargers, which are like a legit team, if they beat them and sneak into playoffs, they could be a threat. And like you can't say they're not because they just beat the Wild Chargers if they do. So that's crazy. Onyx, if Onyx wins by 3, he's guaranteed to be in playoffs. So the Slow Kings. If Sea Titans lose, he wins by 2, he's guaranteed in. If he wins by 3, then it doesn't matter what happens in the Hexans and Sea Titans game, he's guaranteed playoffs. Because he would go ahead one of those teams. If Bearticks win by 3 or more, they're in the exact same spot as Slow Kings. So that's really good. So like another one is Beedrill's Jolteons. We talked about that before. Like it's a big game for Beedrills. It's like a prove it game. Prove that they're like a legit top tier team. If they lose to Jolteons, and it's like a question mark, and like maybe they're not one of the top teams. But then the race for top 4 is like heating up. The Palafins who versus Steelix with 0-4 team, and then again Beedrill's Jolteons, and then you have the Aqua Jets and Bidoof. It's like I think Bidoof, if they lose, they'd have to lose 6-0, and then there's like a question mark. But if they just lose by like 2 or 3, I still think they're good. I still think they're going to be okay, and I still think they're going to make playoffs. They have to get absolutely destroyed to miss playoffs, which can happen, but I don't really think so because Fruit Loops is legit. His team's legit. GU is 2nd in the kill leaderboard. So the top race to the top 4 is like heating up as well. I think if I had to make a prediction, I would say Palafins are most likely to get it just because you just go by like matchups and stuff, like who's most likely to win their game. Then like it's crazy, like Kansas City probably won't make playoffs. So 17 to 20, the games don't matter much, and then 1 and 2 don't matter that much. Actually, they do have to win because like if Sea Sawks and Bronzongs lose, and then all the teams below them win, they could drop out of the top 4. So like every single game, like every single team needs to win, which is insane. Like there's never been a week, the final week, where every single team needs to win except for like the bottom 4. You could even go bottom 3, like maybe Kansas City wins 6-0 and like something crazy happens, like you never know. So they still hope for like, and I hope they do. Like this team's legit. If the Charizards make playoffs, I don't give a shit like what their record is. Their team's good enough to put something together and like make a playoff run. So the kill leaderboards pretty interesting as well. Like Splout's been going off. I hate that I don't have a Pokemon in the top 10. It feels weird. Like I don't know. I feel like none of my Pokemon have done fucking anything. But yeah, I'm 3-1, 9 differential. But it feels like my Pokemon just haven't done anything. Like you have to go so far down to see one of my Pokemon as well. Draco's 4-1 and he got like all those kills in my game. It's like I don't know what my Pokemon have been doing. Anyway, that's the rankings going into week 5. The playoff race is going to be sick. Polly's going to have like a fucking he's going to have a lot of fun trying to figure this shit out, and he's like his classic playoff pitcher analysis. So have fun with that.